John Durham will testify before the House Judiciary Committee next week after releasing his scathing report, which finds the Department of Justice and FBI, quote, failed to uphold their mission of strict fidelity to the law when they launched the Trump-Russia investigation.
Doug Collins was the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee and an Iraq War veteran, and he joins us now. Doug, good morning to you. He's going to testify on Wednesday. Do you think that lawmakers will learn anything new that hasn't already been reported?
Probably not. But I mean, it'd be a chance for, look, it's going to be a pretty explosive hearing. The Republicans are going to go after Durham pretty hard. Democrats will sort of skate around the issue, try to deflect and move other ways, trying to claim that nothing happened. My biggest problem with this, and this goes back to the time I was in Congress as well, is that how do you claim, and as this was just said, a scathing report about the FBI, but yet come right to the fact that wrongdoing was done, but nobody held accountable for it? I mean, this is the part that has really just frustrated Americans on so many levels, that the FBI just seems to continually take care of its own. And I think this is going to be one of the big themes you'll hear in this hearing.
Doug, that's a question I have for Americans sitting at home that don't fully understand how Congress works, how it works with the actual judicial branch. When we talk about accountability, I mean, from my understanding, all the way down to possibly the Hillary Clinton campaign actually paid for this original dossier. And how do you follow that? Where does the accountability come from? And what are the efforts of the House? How does that play into accountability happening?
Well, I think the big thing, Joy, we could spend the next 2 hours discussing the things, starting back with Hillary Clinton, James Comey, Strzok, Page, McCabe. I mean, it's just all there. And here's, McCabe is one who's actually fired by the FBI for doing the things Durham, basically talked about, this lying and withholding information. And then CNN hires him. So, I mean, it's like, this is just a problem. What the House can do is bring out other questions and see if Durham will say, well, why didn't you charge here? Why was there not? And again, some of that, will be maybe new information. I think a lot of it will be just regurgitated information that we've already seen in the report. He'll probably he's very good, probably sticking straight to the report. But what it will do is, again, just highlight this issue. Where the real accountability will come is if the House actually then takes action through the budgetary process or something else to actually affect change at the FBI. And I think that's what's got to happen. But remember, right now, from the House perspective, there's the Republicans in the House against everybody else in the three-leg process. And I think that's going to be very difficult.
So Secretary of State Antony Blinken is headed to China next week to meet with top officials there. And this was a visit that was supposed to happen in February, but it was canceled because of the spy balloon. And now you have the spy base in Cuba. So how should the Secretary of State navigate this trip? And is it possible for him to be successful and tamp down tensions between our two countries?
Well, I'm not sure at this point in time tamping down tensions is actually going to be the true goal here. I think it's actually confronting the fact that you have one side being aggressive and one side not seemingly taking the challenge seriously, and that's the American side. So for me, Blinken needs to go and say, look, if you want to be this economic world power, if you want to flex your military muscle here, that's fine. By the way, we have the same thing. And then you come to an agreement and saying, look, we're going to have to learn to live in this world, that we're not going to be pushed around. We're not going to accept your comments like the balloon was not anything but a weather balloon. So I think you can do that in a diplomatic format. I'm glad that they're talking. That is the best thing that could be happening, is that the two countries are talking, but it can't just be a one-sided conversation. And like earlier in the administration, when he was sort of pushed off by the Chinese in that first meeting, this has got to be a meeting in which whoever he talks to has to understand that we're committed to a worldview that is American focused.
Doug, we don't have a whole lot of time left. What can Congress do? You are a member of Congress. Republicans have the House. What can Congress do to try to hold China accountable, stealing intellectual property, doing what they're doing in Cuba? The administration seems weak.
Well, I think this is where the issues with China, the China committee has got to be working on. They got to work on intellectual property protections. There's things that we can do to strengthen our infrastructure, strengthen our everyday way of life that would actually help. And also quit buying and quit putting, I think, Chinese issues and assets in place where they could do normal things of just surveillance and data gathering here in the United States. We seem to turn a blind eye to.
Well, Doug, it was great being with you this morning. Thanks for joining us so much. We appreciate you.
I'll see that football. Go Dogs.
It's good to have you back. Joey, take care.
Two Georgia boys.